Namaskaram. How did a nationwide student protest lead to a regime change and then normalize violence, abuse, hatred, rape, and murders of minorities in Bangladesh? While a few experts and journalists argue that this was meticulously planned and well organized, spearheaded by a shadow force, with the aid of a few ruthless and parasite powers behind it, others simply choose to ignore the atrocities, and we are just letting our minds be filled with whatever mud is chosen by these parasite powers. What is really happening in Bangladesh? Why there are many people around the world, especially in India, worried about the safety of minorities in Bangladesh? What are these parasite powers and shadow forces I'm talking about? See, India played a key role in the liberation, establishment, and in prosperity of Bangladesh for a long time. In many ways, any outsider can never imagine, and more than what any citizen of these two nations can remember. So, what changed this healthy, friendly relation between two neighbors into enmity and hatred? Well, remember the July Revolution of Bangladesh in 2024, also called the first Gen Z Revolution or the Students' Uprising. So, after two failed protests in 2008 and in 2013, the 2018 Bangladesh Quota Reform Movement, which happened on a huge scale, demanding that the reservations in government jobs be brought down from 56% to a maximum of 10%. If you look at the reservations, 30% is for children or grandchildren of freedom fighters, 10% is for women, 10% is based on districts with population, 5% is for ethnic minorities, and 1% is with for people with disabilities. Students from many universities actively participated, and after incidents of violent attacks and arrests, the cabinet of Bangladesh government gave in, agreed to the demands, and said no to quota system in government jobs. And in 2021, seven children of Bangladesh freedom fighters filed a written petition asking for reservations. And then on 5th June 2024, a High Court bench declared that the decision taken by the government to scrap the quota system is invalid. The government appealed, and also students from all government and private universities began to protest, this time demanding to limit the quota percentage only to 5%. This is a meaningful and rightful ask, but the government could not have handled it any worse. It totally failed at many levels. In addition to this, there was a growing public outrage about Sheikh Hasina's government being corrupted to the highest levels. That there is an autocrat rule on arresting and torturing many opponents, civilians, journalists, and activists. So there is actually a strong nationwide anti-quota movement fueled up by a stronger anti-government dissent. Imagine in a country like Bangladesh where 53% women experience gender-based violence, highest in South Asia. Thousands and thousands of girls came out on the streets and demanded a fair and impartial system. It is like the oppressed even asked to take off the reservations provided to them. They demanded equality and equal justice to everyone. That takes courage. Hats off to all those students who came out and voiced and protested peacefully. But unfortunately, the government's failure to handle the protests in a responsible manner and also violent path chosen by a few protesters led to an explosion of reciprocal consequences, leading to the deaths of hundreds of students and also causing thousands of civilians and students injured. During one such incident, when the police opened fire at the protesters with rubber bullets, a student named Abu Sayyed, who was among the protesters, when his friends ran in fear, he stood firm and with open arms, saying he is not going to back off. He was shot four times by an officer and he later died before he was taken to the hospital. His final stance became a strong sign in the movement, with street art, slogans, graffiti, and acts imitating Abu Sayyed, and with many other protesters meeting the same destiny like him. More and more civilians and students joined the protest, With few policemen killed and many of them injured, the movement took an ugly turn. Internet outage began on 18th and lasted till 28th July. Social media platforms like Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and TikTok were restricted till August 5th. And on 5th of August, as fierce protests continued, Sheikh Hasina resigned and fled the country. Later, with the support of a newly established students' political party, an interim government was formed and the quota system was removed. What do you think happened next? That students went back to their studies, there is stability in the country, peace and progress everywhere, and is run efficiently by honest statesmen and honorable leaders? Really? No. Violence against students and protesters continued. Attacks on police stations did not stop. Persuasions continued to bring Sheikh Hasina back to Bangladesh and punish her, and even a trial was conducted in her absence and she was given the death penalty. Then, anti Indian and anti minority sentiments were growing everywhere, and attacks on minorities on a daily basis. Even Muhammad Yunus, who is leading the interim government, he goes to another country and instead of assuring stability in his country and be transparent about it, he makes reckless and foolish comments about India. And in between all this chaos, he behaves like another hypocrite. Now, we come to the shadow force and the destructive parasite powers behind it. Please pay attention, this one is crucial. There is a political party called Bangladeshi Jamaat-e-Islami. Their ideology is against democracy and secularism, and yet they allowed themselves to participate in the elections because they understood it's simple. You hijack the government, you get to do whatever you need. Jamaat-e-Islami Bangladesh is guilty of war crimes, especially during the Bangladeshi independence movement in 1971. They are guilty and charged with multiple war crimes like murders, mass rape, genocide, and things that will haunt a sane person's mind for a long time. The laws they want to apply are no less than Taliban. Democracy, free will, gender equality will be unmentionable words under their regime. It has already been proven in many places and incidents. Jamaat-e-Islami Bangladesh is so powerful that one best example is if you just look at this European Bangladeshi forum, what it has to say. This one document alone exposes various heinous crimes committed by Jamaat-e-Islami over the decades in Bangladesh. Well, they have always been in bed with the Bangladesh National Party, the BNP, and since 1970s, brutal attacks and atrocities against minority communities in Bangladesh only increased. Look at what a researcher at Amnesty International Bangladesh named Abbas Fayez says. The Hindu community in Bangladesh is at extreme risk. It is shocking that they appear to be targeted simply for their religion. Human Rights Watch in its World Report 2015 said, supporters of the opposition Bangladesh National Party and the Jamaat-e-Islami Party threw petrol bombs to enforce strikes and economic blockades. Before and after the elections, the attackers also vandalized homes and shops owned by members of Bangladesh Hindu and Christian communities. Humanist bloggers, activists, publishers, university lecturers, members of minority community and foreign nationals, they were systematically targeted by this group. Look at Ananta Vijay Das. He was writing a blog called Mukto Mona and he was murdered in 2015, and in the same year, February, the person who was handling this blog, a US citizen named Avijit Roy, he was hacked to death. Ansar al-Islam, an insurgent group linked to Al-Qaeda, they claimed responsibility for these four killings in 2014, saying they had the permission of Allah and they also warned of further attacks in the future. In October 2015, a publisher named Arifin Deepan, he was stabbed to death just after another incident like this has happened. Director of Research at South Asia Democratic Forum says, Jamaat tries to replace parliamentary democracy and secularism with a theocratic Islamic state. Despite its electoral and political setbacks in recent past, Jamaat-e-Islam is already so deeply entrenched into the institutional system of governance and public sphere that it can continue to function even without being in power. And he says, regarding attacks on the religious minorities in Bangladesh, Jamaat-e-Islam targets Bangladesh Hindu minority as part of its anti-India strategy. and at least 125 Islamic militant outfits that we know more or less active were linked with Jamaat. Between February 2013 and June 2016, at least 14 human rights defenders and activists were murdered in Bangladesh. Radicalization is happening at an extreme level in Bangladesh, and thanks to Ansar Ahmadullah, president of Bangladesh European Forum, because of people like this who voice for the voiceless, we get to know facts sometimes. Jamaat-e-Islami Bangladesh was waiting for an opportunity and they just grabbed it when the time has come. Or was the opportunity intentionally created and was it served to them on a silver platter? You saw what they are capable of. One strong allegation is that Jamaat-e-Islami Bangladesh infiltrated Awami League and Sheikh Hasina's government at the highest levels. An example to that is Awami League student leader in Dhaka University. After August 2024, he openly claimed that he is actually from Jamaat-e-Islami Bangladesh. And about the attacks in police stations, how brutal display of cruelness, killing policemen, stripping them naked and hanging them on the road. Students are not capable of this. The key point here is, while everybody is busy discussing and paying attention to this attacks on minorities, why there is a mob, who is organizing this, who is funding this, Jamaat-e-Islami is quietly replacing Awami League in the government, and wherever there is a vacuum in power, they are just replacing it. Recently, there has been a newspaper survey, a leading newspaper in Bangladesh, in fact. This is a nationwide survey conducted by a leading newspaper, Prathamalu, widely circulated in Bangladesh. And they made a survey on socio-political issues and asked people what is their opinion on Awami League participating in the upcoming elections. Well, 28.2% said they should not be allowed, 27.8% said should not be allowed unconditionally, and 26% says participation should be permitted if punitive measures are taken against those responsible and internal party reforms are carried out. 14.8% says should be allowed if it acknowledges its mistakes and offers an apology to the nation. Also, in the same survey, people also said they will vote for BNP, not for Awami League. But they want Awami League to participate in the elections and be in the opposition, not Jamaat-e-Islami. So 28.2 respondents only said we don't want the Awami League at all, and almost 70% people says we need Awami League's presence. A recent incident that got international attention was about Deepu Chandra Das. Actually, there is a video being circulated on the social media that police handing over the victim to the mob. That is a fake one. Right now, the moral of police in Bangladesh is too low. Let's not bring it further down. We need good policing for the safety of people out there. But that doesn't mean the incident never happened. Sadly, Deepu Chandra Das was burnt alive. Not just him, many other families were attacked later. When they are still inside their houses, people burn their houses. And a journalist from one of the minority communities was recently attacked. This keeps on happening on a daily basis in large numbers. Jamaat-e-Islami first hijacked the protest, and then it looked like students were forming the government. But immediately, right after the interim government was formed, the ban on Jamaat-e-Islami Bangladesh was lifted off. Now, many students are walking out of NCP, the political party formed by students, because it joined hands with Jamaat-e-Islami. A few of them who were contesting, they walked out and they are contesting independently in the elections. How can Muhammad Yunus, someone who received Nobel Peace Prize, can ever allow such a thing to happen, to lift the ban on Jamaat-e-Islami? I don't know, irony, hypocrisy or a joke maybe. This will continue unfortunately. Bangladesh has never been this vulnerable. Some say it is the American government meddling, some say it is the Western corporate syndicate, and others say it is the Chinese with Pakistan as a field player. Or maybe everyone is doing their parts in bits and pieces. If, in the perception of locals, the students and people fought against a criminal and succeeded, it is only to fall in the trap of a gang of monsters. It was the youth and common people of Bangladesh that put their lives and future at risk and fought. But if this trend continues, their basic human rights, everything that makes them a free citizen and a democratic nation is at risk. Forget about the elected governments in India. The Indian youth always supported Bangladeshi sports people and even actors. You see what happened with KKR recently with the Indian Premier League, and then Bangladesh facing issues with T20 World Cup. With evil powers like this, basic necessities, education, health, commerce, everything is at risk. It is understandable if people in India are worried about the situation in Bangladesh, be it Hindus, Christians, Buddhists, Jains, or Ahmadiyas, they are all at risk and you want to voice out. That is fine. Whenever there is a discrimination around us, be it caste, gender, religion, race, we should speak about it. It's good. But do not react in rage. Do not allow these evil powers to brew hatred in your mind. Any statement, a call for violence, or an unjust act, it will only destroy the harmony in our country. These days, terrorists do not come only with guns and explosives. They are sure working on instilling hatred on as many young minds as possible. Don't make the job easy for them. Our prayers are with the Bangladesh youth. We wish a stable government is formed and things get better for them. Let democracy prevail in Bangladesh. That is all we can hope for. Thank you.